Ni Channel is known for being a dark and honestly pretty horrifying place at times, particularly if you hang around the occult and related boards. But over the decades, it has also been known as the home of some of the internet's best, most hilarious and successful trolls as well. And those two things are not always mutually exclusive. This week, let's take a look at 5 of the best threads that had everyone fooled right up until the big reveal. 1. Let's start with perhaps the most famous and influential troll thread of all, Otsukare-sama. On February 4th, 2006, a user posted a single picture with the message, "You must not look at this picture." That was it. Well, what else are you supposed to do in this situation other than look at the picture? Of course. Naturally, people were able to exercise their free will and decide for themselves whether they wanted to click the image link or not. And if you did, like me, well, the image might be a little creepy, sure, but it's not something that's going to make you immediately want to wash your eyes with bleach. In fact, it was so mundane that it would have otherwise been entirely forgotten, if not for what happened next. Roughly 10 minutes after posting the image, the OP returned and informed people that if they looked at it, they'd have to basically hold a cleansing ceremony. They had cursed themselves. They were told to fill a cup with water, turn off the lights, chant a few words, and then drink the water. And that was it. They were cleansed. Otsukare-sama deshita. If you've studied Japanese, this phrase should be somewhat familiar. It's basically used at the end of a workday or once someone has completed a task, and is used how we might say, "Good job," "You did well," etc. And so, in the context of the thread, it certainly didn't come across as something weird to say. After all, people had just performed a cleansing ceremony. At any rate, this thread continued for the next week or so, with people sharing that they had looked at the image and then performed the ceremony to cleanse themselves. But then people noticed something odd. Someone pointed out how odd it was to perform this strange ceremony involving water after simply looking at an image. And also, why was Otsukare-sama deshita the only thing the OP posted that didn't use kanji? Normally, this word would use kanji and not be typed only in the phonetic hiragana script. But this was exactly what the OP did. Why? Well, eagle-eyed readers soon realized why. After all, tsukareru has another meaning that isn't just to be tired or exhausted. To be possessed. Spirits are attracted to water. These people just carried out a ritual in the dark with water. Otsukare-sama deshita. OP wasn't saying they did well after performing an exhausting task. They were telling them they had been possessed. The OP sadly never returned to gloat over how easy it was for them to dupe people anonymously on the internet into performing, in essence, a ritual that would make a ghost haunt them, but it was so well played, so well hidden, and went on for such a long time that when people finally figured out the troll, its impact was massive. Even today, Otsukare-sama deshita, written in all hiragana, is still used not just on Ni Channel, but on the internet in general, when someone has been unknowingly duped into doing something. Such impact. 2. On July 30th, 2006, a user of the Nyusoku VIP boards posted a challenge. They claimed to have hidden 50,000 yen somewhere in Tokyo, and those in the thread only had that one day to find it. If they found it, they could keep it. If not, the OP would take it back at midnight themselves. Now, Tokyo is a big place, so they agreed to give some hints. At a glance, they weren't very helpful hints. The number 3, the letters GFF, the at mark, and the hiragana symbol for O. If readers could figure out whatever the heck these meant, they'd then find an envelope at number 11. When Ni-channelers put their mind to something, however, there's very little they can't solve. They soon figured out the clues were simple kana input on a keyboard, and together they actually spelt Akihabara. So, what did number 11 in Akihabara mean? As readers were figuring that out, someone claimed to have found the money. OP apparently went to check and, yes, it seemed the envelope was indeed gone. But then he later returned claiming that, actually, it was still there. It was just so dark that he didn't see it properly the first time. By this point, people still hadn't figured out what number 11 meant, however, and they only had a few hours left. But again, the OP returned and claimed that they had lied. The envelope really was gone. They surmised a homeless person must have found it, but because that didn't make a very good ending to a day-long treasure search, they offered to hide even more money. But they'd be hiding it somewhere else with new clues. Readers accused the OP of simply taking the money back themselves, to which they surprisingly admitted to. They then said they'd add even more money to the total to make it up to them. But then, the thread took yet another turn. OP claimed that, yes, they really had hidden an envelope in the city. But they did lie about something. There was no money in it. Just cockroaches. They briefly did hide money, but then took it back not even half an hour later. After all, 50,000 yen is a lot of money. Readers got angry, but the OP pointed out that they never specifically said they would hide the money they spoke of, just the envelope. Then they broke out into weird laughter and said, "You should be glad you didn't find the envelope." When readers went back over their posts, they then noticed something that made their blood run. Hontou ni yaru. In context of what they posted, people assumed this was the OP saying they would actually give you the money if you found it. But yaru has another meaning. To kill. After that final revelation of being glad you didn't find the envelope, perhaps they didn't mean to actually give it to you, but rather, I will actually kill you. Yikes. 3. At 1:17 AM on August 22nd, 2008, a Ni-channel user posted a thread titled, "There's a man in white standing in front of my house." Apparently, he had been standing there for 4 hours, simply swaying side to side. To prove this, the OP shared a photo of the man. Apparently, he saw the man on his way into the apartment building, and even said hello to him, but the man in white said nothing back. Just stood there like a creepy monster from Silent Hill. Because we do a little trolling, someone shared an image the OP should post on his door to keep the man out. The image was of scalar waves, and without getting too deep into Ni-channel lore, it was referencing Pana Wave Laboratory, a Japanese cult from the 80s and 90s who were apparently into that sort of thing. Meaning, if OP put that image on his door, the weird man in white would think he was also a cult member, and it would actually make him try to get in, not keep him out. At any rate, the user kept people updated in real time of this man in white who was still hanging around outside, occasionally sharing photos. Before long, however, the man in white moved closer and was now directly below OP's apartment. OP was new in town and didn't really know anyone, So who on earth could this be? Plus, he had work the next day. This couldn't keep carrying on all night. He had to go to bed. OP then shared a photo he claimed to have taken from his veranda, but the flash accidentally went off, alerting the man downstairs. But when readers checked the data, it revealed the photo was taken a whole hour before OP posted it. The mystery deepened when the man in white disappeared and left a photo in his place. It was a torn photo of an unknown family. People were expecting this to be the "haha, you got trolled" reveal, but it wasn't. 10 minutes later, the man in white returned again, but this time he was inside the building. RIP. But then, as the thread was nearing its 1,000 comment limit, OP shared a final comment. "Yeah, of course. Saying I had a job was fake as well. I didn't think the wild delusions of a creepy, unpopular man such as myself would go this far. I was having a good laugh about it all. But I'm really sorry for dragging it out. Thanks to everyone who joined me until daybreak." Seemed it was a troll after all. But as these threads tend to go, people continued to analyze it after the fact and discovered something horrifying. When the first characters of that final post were read vertically, they actually spelt something. "Help me" in Japanese. Did the man in white actually get in and force OP to type that final post to make everyone simply think it was a troll? Or was this one last layer on a job well done? OP never returned after that final comment, so that's up to you to decide. 4. On February 16th, 2011, perhaps one of the most ingenious, well-planned, and immaculately prepared threads ever made was posted on NeChannel. It was titled simply, "Can you help me solve this code?" In short, they had lost contact with a friend from university, but now he was sending letters to the other person involved in the love triangle that made him leave in the first place. These letters included something that looked like a code, and OP wanted help deciphering it. NeChannel can solve just about anything they put their minds to, so once they were given the codes, they got to work. History was in the making. It took 20 minutes for one person in the thread to figure out the numbers were probably coordinates. With that in mind, people checked the number and found that they actually did point to various locations across Japan. A junior high school in Sendai, Miyagi. An elementary school in Nerima, Tokyo. A high school in Fukuoka. And a junior college in Hokkaido. They were all schools, but not only that, they went from elementary all the way up to college. One each. With that out of the way, what on earth did it all mean? But here's where it gets good. At 2:47 AM, 2 readers in the thread revealed they lived close to the Tokyo school. One of them actually went to the school around 4 AM and found some tape next to the sign of the school's name. He took a photo of it, and people saw it said 37. The photo data revealed it was actually taken at 3:56 AM that night. So at the very least, the photo itself wasn't fake. Not too long later, another reader claimed to live near the Fukuoka school. They would check it out. As they were doing that, people dug into the metadata from the original photo with all the codes. Turned out it was taken 4 years earlier. But the OP claimed they had only just recently gotten these letters. How could they be 4 years old? The Fukuoka reader returned and claimed they also found tape with a number on it at the school. 140. An hour later, someone from Sendai appeared and went to check that school. They found another piece of tape with a number on it. 877314. That just left Sapporo. Roughly an hour later, someone visited that school too. Of course, they found more tape with numbers on it. 932.077. They had all the numbers, and it was clear at a glance that they were again coordinates. This was it. The big reveal. Where were these coordinates pointing? Readers plugged the numbers into Google Maps and found a place called Tsurishi Beach. In English, this might not mean much when you first hear it, but in Japanese it was an immediate punch in the face. Tsurishi is also a common term for internet trolls. Over the course of a single night, Ni-channel readers from literally all over the country had set out into the real world to find pieces of tape that had numbers on them that would, when combined, lead people to a location called, well, Internet Troll Beach. And yes, like the data from the photo stated, this all started 4 years prior. It was a troll 4 years in the making, with the OP actually visiting each of these locations around Japan and putting that tape up with numbers on them in locations that people would be able to find, but not too obvious that they would quickly get torn down. 4 years of work over the entire country, all for a simple internet prank that actually got solved in a single night. It's just honestly impressive. Legendary even. 5. On June 25th, 2006, probably one of my favourite threads ever was posted with the title, "I think my ancestors were terrifying people." The OP started by claiming he cleaned the family altar the day before and found an old document there. On it were pictures of what looked like Oni eating people, and those Oni had the names of his ancestors on them. Not the sort of family secret you want to uncover, I'm sure. The problem here being that the document was old, and the writing old too, meaning he was struggling to read what it actually said. He then shared an image of said document, said to be around half the size of an A4 piece of paper. Could anyone read it? What was going on here? As readers in the thread set to work trying to decipher the old characters, the OP claimed that the family altar hadn't been moved in 200 years, meaning the document had to be at least that old. But the whole thing obviously remained a mystery. Some readers managed to pick out the word shokujin, which means cannibalism, and obviously goes with the pictures of the Oni eating what looked like people. Was the OP descended from cannibals then? And if so, why would they leave documents behind showing themselves doing that? That still didn't make much sense. Readers then found a date, the 8th year of Bunsei, July 7th. By the Western calendar, that's 1826. So yeah, that's about 200 years ago. At the very least, that lined up. While some continued trying to decipher the text, others offered possible explanations. Maybe the family were just infrequent cannibals. Maybe the records were kept as a reminder or tradition for descendants and only for family eyes. OP then shared a photo of the other side, and then claimed that his grandfather was awake, so he'd go ask him about it. Apparently, during the Bunsei era, there was a large flood in the area that caused several years of bad harvests. Naturally, readers in the thread got digging and confirmed that, yes, In 1822, there were records of a large flood hitting the Colchi area, where the OP claimed to be from. Again, that part, at least, was true. So, by putting 2 and 2 together, a story was being painted. A large flood destroyed much of the area and caused several years of bad harvests. OP's family left behind a document that appeared to show them eating people. Did they, perhaps, turn to eating others as a way to survive? If so, was the document a record of that? Perhaps kept as an eternal reminder of their shame and the things they had to do to survive. Unfortunately, Grandpa didn't seem to know anything about the document either. He offered up the suggestion that the creatures were not Oni, but rather a simple representation of their family starving during a famine. Yet, more deciphering revealed parts of the text seemed to be talking about a punishment for breaking the village's rules, and even the slaughter of travelers. Adding further fuel to the fire, OP claimed that a tombstone where his ancestors were buried had Memorial Tower for the Snake Oni on it. OP went out to check the tombstone and claimed it had a date and his family's surname on it as well. The date referred to the year of the wood monkey, something that happens every 60 years. And by tracking it back, that would have been the year 1824, shortly after the Bunsei floods. But then, OP returned yet again with another ominous message. I found another document that seems to be related. As everyone waited with bated breath for the latest image, there it was. Sadly, it was all fake. Once again, readers had been trolled with an honestly high quality, well researched, and well prepared troll. Did you have fun? I wrote the document, the OP shared, before revealing, but the paper really is 200 years old, and the writing should be flawless as well, haha. Yes, not only had a lot of research gone into making sure the OP got the dates and history of the area right to make his story seem authentic, he actually even used 200-year-old paper from some old sliding doors in his house to do it. As one reader replied, "There's no way we're ever gonna beat a troll 200 years in the making." And that, everyone, is how you make a quality troll. And people didn't even have to travel around the country to uncover it. But what did you guys think of these mysteries? Which was your favourite reveal? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support this channel so you can see more content like this, please consider hitting that join button down below as well. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next time.